Hi, it's the Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. I have pulled out all of my pink Lisa Eldridge lipsticks because this new one arrived on my doorstep this week. This is the new shade in Society in the Rouge experience. And I was curious. I had to know, what does this look like compared to all the other pink or pink adjacent lipsticks? There are some in here that I would call more coral, that I would call maybe a little bit more mauve. But they're in here because if you have that shade, you may want to know what it looks like next to Society. So I'm going to start by applying Society for you. These Rouge Experience lipsticks are beautiful. They're refillable. They're recyclable. Here it is on the lips. This is one of those lipsticks that is kind of like a warm pink. It leans slightly on the warmer side, which is a little easier for me to wear, but I really, really love the shade of this lipstick. And we're going to go through all the rest of the pinks that I own from Lisa Eldridge. There are 24 others. So we're going to be here for a minute. I'm going to try and get through them real quick and snappy, but I wanted you to be able to see what the Society shade looked like and to see if it's something you'd be interested in picking up. This next shade in Rouge Experience is the shade Lisa. I feel like Lisa is one of the easier shades for me to wear. If you're curious what it looks like compared to Society, here they are. Lisa is just a hair on the cooler side, but overall it's a very beautiful, everyday sort of pink. The next Rouge Experience I have for you is the shade Audrey. This is one that I would say is pink adjacent. It has a little bit more coral or peach lean to it. Here it is. And it seems like Society is kind of like right in between these two, because this definitely has a little bit more coolness than this does. But I think overall, this is the brightest, most peach-leaning shade out of all the Rouge Experience. I'm going to throw on Ashes of Roses just because it has that cooler mauve-y tone to it, and it does have a pink lean. Here's Ashes of Roses, and this is what it looks like on the lips. Here's one that's significantly cooler. This is Medici. This is Medici, and this is what it looks like on the lips. I'm pulling out the only pink Balm Embrace that I have. I think it's the only one that there is. This is the shade Épanoui. This formula feels so luxurious on the lips. I do need to be careful and pair this with a lip liner or it goes outside of my vermilion border because my lips are getting older. But if you have a really firm vermilion border, you may not have that problem. Here is Épanoui compared to Society. I'm going to move into the Insanely Saturated. The first one I'm going to pull out for you is Sunday Matinee. I love the way these feel. These are so creamy despite being a matte formula. Here's Sunday Matinee. This is definitely not as pigmented, but they have kind of like a similar lean color-wise, in my opinion. I feel like this is a more pigmented version and just a touch warmer. Let's throw on Rainbow Spill. This is one of my favorite pinks, and I especially love this in the summertime. Here is Rainbow Spill compared to all the rest. Certainly one of my most loved and favorite to reach for pinks in my entire collection, not just of Lisa Eldridge lipsticks, but in lipsticks altogether. Here's another favorite. This one's much cooler. This is Skyscraper Rose. Here's Skyscraper Rose. It certainly has a very punchy and bright appearance on my face, but I think this would be beautiful on someone with a richer skin tone. The last Insanely Saturated I have for you is called New Wave. It's definitely one of those that's pink adjacent. It's not really a pink, but it's a beautiful kind of orchid shade. Here's New Wave, definitely cooler than Skyscraper Rose. but on the face is such a beautiful wearable orchid shade. It doesn't really lean too purple on me, and that's one of the things I love most about this shade. This would be beautiful on someone with a really olive skin tone. I'm going to move into the luxuriously lucent lipsticks next. These are definitely a sheerer, more hydrating formula. It might have been better for me to have done these before I swatched the Insanely Saturated, but that's okay. Let's start out here with Spirited Away. I always think of this shade as more of a rosewood shade where it has some brown to it. It has some depth and earthiness to it. I really, really like it. If you're curious, right here is Society, and this is Spirited Away. This is Painterly, another one that has a beautiful mauve with a brown undertone to it. These feel magnificent on the lips, by the way. Here's Painterly. Definitely has a little bit more of an aubergine or eggplant lean to it. It's really quite lovely. Here's Je ne sais quoi. This one is one I've been curious to see what it looks like next to Society. It's on the warmer side. Here's Je ne sais quoi. It feels a little bit more in line with Audrey than it does with Society, but I do love this shade. Here's a shade you can't buy anymore, but if you happen to have Go Lightly and were curious, I'll throw it on for you. This one is very akin to a shade that Lisa has in one of Audrey Hepburn's old refillable lipstick tubes. This is the first shade she created kind of in memory of Audrey Hepburn. And I think out of all of the others besides Audrey or Dance Card, which I don't have, this one I feel like is the most, probably the closest to the original that was in Audrey's lipstick tube from many decades ago. Here's Rose Official. This is such a lovely everyday wearable shade. Running out of room on the other hand, but here is Rose Official. And here is Society. Oop, let's do them this way. This one here is certainly cooler than Society. Last pink of the luxuriously lucents is Love of My Life. These always feel so great going on. I love that about these. I love using this as a cool blush when I need something that leans a little bit cooler. Sometimes I'll just pull this out and instead of using it as a lipstick, just tap it on the cheeks. Here's Love of My Life, significantly cooler than many of the rest of these. Looks like I missed one. This is Wonder Wheel. It's still a little bit darker than Society is, but a very lovely, fun to wear summer shade that I know I'm going to be reaching for a lot in the coming months. All right, we're into the Velvet lipsticks now. These are a matte lipstick that is non-drying, is super comfortable on the lips and lasts for hours and hours. I'm going to start with the shade Blush Lightly. This is definitely a cooler, more berry toned, but if you're curious to what it looks like compared to the rest, I thought I would throw it in. Here's Velvet Blush. This is what it looks like on the lips. Here's Velvet Blush Lightly. Here's Blush Lightly compared to Velvet Blush. It's just a little bit easier for me to wear, and I'm wondering, yep, very different. These ones definitely have more of a mauve tone to them compared to Society and some of the rest. Here's Velvet Carnival. A significantly cooler color, but lovely nonetheless. One of my favorites, this is Velvet Pompadour. There's Velvet Pompadour. This is what it looks like on the lips. Here's Velvet Rain. This is Velvet Beauty. Here it is. And on the lips. Here's Velvet Muse. This one tends to be a little bit more earthy and have some brown undertones to it, but it definitely has a pink lean. Here's Velvet Muse. It's a lovely, easy to wear shade and very comfortable. Last shade I have for you is Velvet Petal. Here's Velvet Petal compared to all the rest. And here is Society. I feel like it might be good to put Society back on so you can see it compared to all the swatches as it's on my lips. All right, here's Society back on, but let's take a look at all of these swatches. There are some that are very vibrant and very bright, and other ones that tend to have more of a mauve or a beigey peach tone to them. If you're looking for pinks that are similar, I would say that if you have Lisa or if you have Audrey, they're very similar to the new shade in Society. Another one to me that looks similar is Spirited Away. And I feel like those are the ones that are kind of like the closest. Epanoui is a very, very, very fair sheer shade. It's not nearly as warm as this. But the one thing that's so interesting is that I never used to love pink lipsticks. I never used to buy pink lipsticks because the pinks always looked funny on me. There was something about them that just didn't suit my face. And I don't feel like there's a single shade here that I have, which is why I have 25 pinks from Lisa Eldridge, that I don't look amazing in. I have to be wearing the right makeup or the right clothes, but I can wear any shade that she makes. That's something that to me is remarkable. Now, I know that's not true for everyone, but being that I have a neutral undertone, it makes it really, really easy for me to wear almost any shade that I want to from Lisa Eldridge. And the pinks are special. They're different. If they're cool, they're a really interesting cool shade, or maybe a mauve shade, or have some earthiness to them. Or if they're a little bit more coral leaning, they have some nice warmth. There is something that is extremely remarkable about the shades that Lisa makes, that they work on so many different people in a various range of skin tones. I think that is just amazing. And that's her true artist's eye coming through. Just for reference, these Rouge Experience lipsticks are $59 a piece. If you're just buying the refill is $30. The Balm Embraces are $34. And the rest of the lipsticks, whether they are the Luxuriously Lucent, the Velvet lipsticks, or the Insanely Saturated, are all $36. I love having this really large collection of pink lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge. I think it's funny that I used to not like pink and now it's one of my favorite shades. I think it all just comes down to the types of pink that suit me and I really tend to reach for. Also, the formulas are just chef's kiss perfection. Thank you so much for watching today. Let me know, are you interested in the new Shade Society? Are there any shades that you think you already have in your collection that might be close that would keep you from picking it up? If you have a favorite shade of pink from Lisa, I would love to know what it is. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll list my entire Lisa Eldridge playlist for you in the description box, so go ahead and expand that description box if you wanted to watch more. Thank you so much for making the time to watch today. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you again soon. Bye.